I'd like to welcome everybody to the Clock Hour. I'm your host, Marv Kennel, once again. I'm back with a couple of very special guests, my co-host, Miss Cynthia Figueroa, and I have a very, very, very special guest, near and dear to me, Miss Wagner. Some of you know her, some of you should know her. I consider her a mentor of mine. I talk to her as much as I can when I have questions. Miss Wagner, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is a blessing, and you're a blessing. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, for those who don't know you?
Well, I'm a city resident, lifelong member of Zion Baptist Church. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a community activist and an education advocate. And I'm retired from the state of Connecticut.
That's it. You know, I met you at the college. What is that?
Naugatuck Valley.
Naugatuck Valley. And at first, I didn't know how to take you. But I respected what you were saying. Mm-hmm. So that made me want to know more about who you were. And that's being totally honest with you. It's like, I said, who is this lady? But not knowing that we crossed paths in the play that my cousin had.
Right.
Not remembering everything. I had a lot going on back then. But I've just always, I said, if anytime I had any questions about some of the local politics, because I didn't know, I was working in Danbury and, you know, I would leave Waterbury and streets be terrible as far as during the wintertime, and then I get to Danbury, the streets are clear. Smaller town, bigger city, terrible streets. And you and I, we had a discussion one year during the local elections. And I had saw that you had access to the voter turnout. What is the problem from your perspective?
One is complacency, I think, and the other is a trust issue.
Trusting who?
Feeling disenfranchised, not connected to the politicians. You can go around the city and see the areas that seem to be more politically connected because those are the nicer areas. And it's all politics. It's all politics and money.
So what you're saying is, well, let's put it like this. I've seen representatives that look like you and I. Are they not connected?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. You know, people get in positions for various reasons, and they're connected as far as they hold a position, but connected to empowering their people, community development. Take a look and you tell me.
I used to, I remember when they used to have singers and everything in the Martin Luther King Park. Because I'm with them in their tournaments every year, and we do other events there.
We used to have an Afro-Latin festival.
Hey, what happened to that?
It just died down. I don't know.
Right, people weren't in the office.
Afro-Latin? I remember those.
Yeah, it was.
I remember those. I've actually went
They were nice.
to an expo in Meriden a couple of years,
Okay.
and they had nice turnouts. I think we're losing.
I don't think we're losing on a bigger scale.
Right. I don't either.
And I don't even think we're losing locally. Now, you really have to have your thumb on the pulse of the city and the politics to understand why I'm saying I don't think we're even losing locally. You may not visibly see the things that would make you say, okay, we're winning. But they are happening in various sectors of employment, of community development, basically it's a shift. There's a shift.
Okay.
But you really have to pay attention because it's not out there enough to hit you right in the face. So you say, oh, wow, things have changed. It's more behind the scenes. The change is beginning slow. There's always going to be a resistance, but the change is beginning. It's happening.
Okay. But that's just like, my last interview was with Ronnie, and he was talking about unity. And someone posed a question almost to the extent where unite how and for what? My thing was there's a faction over here, a faction over here, a faction over there, a faction over there. There's nothing common that we can actually chase after, or there's no real common ground, or it's clicky. This is clicky to me.
Well, it is cliquey, and I think that's just human nature. It's always going to be cliquey. You tend to gravitate to those that you vibe better with or have some kind of connection with. And that's okay for, personal reasons or some of the time. But when it comes to issues, tackling issues, there does need to be a unity.
Okay. So it would be almost like a George Floyd setup to where people would actually get together on something common like Trayvon Martin.
It has to be something that they care enough about. It can't just be, if they don't care, they're not going to get involved. They're not going to be engaged. And when you speak of George Floyd, something like that, that was a movement.
Right.
That was
worldwide,
nationwide,
really.
worldwide. It was a movement.
Right.
Now we're talking locally.
Right.
So what would be the issue locally that would unite everyone?
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
You got any ideas, Miss Cynthia? Cynthia?
Hey, when you talk about money, people want to know. So
Yeah.
I will bring people in. Those general topics, education also. Anything that affects the general population, people will get on the same. Yeah.
Well, we got high gas prices right now. But you know what? My biggest issue here is, being retired. This is not. I'm paying taxes for everything, and I have to get my front end work done on my car. Every 6 months, every 9 months, you get a new car and whatnot. It sounds like your car is old. Your car should be good for at least a year or two before the front end starts rattling. That's always been my biggest issue is the potholes, the streets, Then
that involves money, but I see our politicians have money to take care of what they want to take care of, when they want to do it. The streets needing to be repaired is absolutely ridiculous. It's a lack of leadership because, everyone has to travel somewhere.
Right.
At some time. That's a bare necessity.
Right.
for your cities and your state. You know, it's really part of the infrastructure.
Yes, it is.
So it's important, but I'll say this, when you have leadership that doesn't take that as seriously as you think they should, your power is in the vote. So you either vote for them again or you vote them out.
That's where we go back to voting. People don't understand,
It's
to me,
important.
that locally is where you have more power, then state, then federal government.
It's very important. It's very important, but people feel like, you know, it's sad, but they feel like, what am I voting for? First of all, they don't even know the candidates that are running. You have to know. You gotta pay attention. I
Right.
mean, that vote pertains to your basic life needs, your taxes,
Right.
your streets, your schools, your employment, your city policies,
Right.
you know, so forth and so on. I mean, you have to relate that to your basic life needs and realize it's very important to get to those polls. You can't expect change if you didn't vote for change.
Right. I vote on all levels. Anything that come, I'll go get in line. It doesn't matter. But this matters, because this is where I live at.
Right.
And I've been to other cities and other states. I understand some cities have, you know, extra money coming in through tolls, through tourism and certain things like that. But when I look at this, I'm like, I go get in this line and I'm paying all this money to drive my car here. I'm like, wait a minute. I lived in Georgia for a couple of years. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, why I gotta pay all this money to drive this car? I remember one time, I used to be a recruiter here. So I guess the reporter thought I was safe. So she says, I'm standing in line. She says, so how do you feel about paying taxes? I said, what? I said, how about you ask all these people in this line right here? I said, for one, I'm paying for the car. I'm paying for the maintenance of the car. I'm paying for gas of the car. I'm paying for registration, car insurance. Then I got to pay just the driver here. That's a lot.
Well, did people jump on the bandwagon or get engaged, I should say, in the tax the rich?
That stayed up here for a minute and then it got quiet.
Well, it's something that needs to happen.
Where are they going to do that at?
Connecticut.
Yeah.
They
could.
need to do it. Yes, they could, and they need to do it in Connecticut.
Someone had mentioned to me about leveling out the mill rate in this state. I doubt if it's going to happen, but I guess there was a whisper about it. You heard anything?
Now, I haven't heard anything about that, but that would have to do with the taxes when you're talking about, you know, leveling out the mill rate. The mill rate is, what is it, 60.21, I think, in Waterbury right now. And that's the second highest in the state of Connecticut.
See?
Okay? So your wealthier towns and cities pay less taxes.
Yes.
Tax the rich. Why should that burden be on those that have less?
Right. And then if you go to the courthouse and you see who's getting the tickets and everything, who's getting all the tickets? What do you think, Ms. Figueroa?
I'm thinking about going back to the wealthiest. If that's the second, who's the first?
Yeah.
Who has the highest mill rate?
Well, you're originally from New Haven.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all have Yale down there.
I'm just wondering.
Y'all have Yale. Your streets aren't that bad though. In certain areas they are.
Talking about the potholes, there was something in place if I understood correctly that if your car got damaged, you can claim it to the city if it was due to a pothole.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can. We
Is
still
that
can.
also in Waterbury?
But, I mean,
It's
it's going to
there.
be a lot of red tape, but you can do it. Yeah.
Okay.
And a
Because
lot
I
of people
didn't even know if it actually worked.
a lot of people, wouldn't want to make the effort what they take you through to get there.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of red tape. And that's strategic,
Yeah.
You don't make it easy.
Right. Like having community meetings and stuff like that. You make them kind of inconvenient so everybody doesn't get there.
Right.
Gotcha.
So my
Makes sense.
mind is going with leadership. Like, how do we get leadership to move on issues that are more pressing to the inner city? I think finding out what's directly affecting the leadership, getting their attention that way, like what affects them, because then they're gonna listen. Then they're gonna hear you.
What affects them
And then flip
is
it.
money and the vote.
Money.
Money and the vote. Yeah, that's what affects them. That's what gets their attention.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, pretty much what I said before. Money goes back to the money.
yeah. Yeah.
Good thought.
I know their constituents basically is what they care about.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to how it affects them, like what their daily living life is, what their neighborhood, what issues are surrounding them, I think is where I'm trying to target to then get their attention. Hey, you have that issue. Guess what? We do too.
Well, what even
something in that
e-
sense.
even here, what they do is a lot of patchwork. They'll take some tar and throw it in a hole, and that lasts for about 2 weeks, and then they'll throw more tar in the hole, and that lasts for about another week or so, and it's patchwork, and it's not really grinding the streets down and
Temporary fix.
going back and not going back and really doing them as they're supposed to. Like
So quality is missing.
yeah, I used to go up one street, and when you get to the stop sign, everything smooths out all the way to the traffic light, going up that one street. But everything was rough coming up from the bottom, and then it smooths out. You'd be like, okay, I get it. I understand it. But to me, if everything is
So
divvied
were
up,
you going from one district to the next district?
bingo. I didn't want to say it, but that's the way it is. And I'm like, wait a minute, how is it that I get this little smooth section, but then I get this little rough section? I'm like, whoa. Then you think something's wrong with your vehicle and you're just rattling.
Yeah.
Like I said, my biggest issue is the streets. Fix the streets. Something.
At least.
At least.
At least.
And then sometimes, you're trying to turn out of a street and there's cars over here, and it's tight. And then don't let it snow, and the snow's piled up, the streets get smaller. So you're trying to go through, like, I don't know whether you ever been to Philly. Philly now, they got some streets where you can't even open your car door. They're tight.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it is tight up there.
Yeah.
Really.
So it's like, come on, let's work together and do something about this. But I'm just whistling in the wind.
The thing with us is that I've learned in taking on issues in this city is that the powers that be tell us no, and that's where the fight ends. We don't always have to accept no. The fight should continue if the community decides no is not an acceptable answer.
So what comes with the no?
Nothing.
Nothing.
When
Nothing
you
behind
turn
the no.
around, our people,
Say again?
They're discouraged, and that's why a lot of people don't probably want to vote because they're discouraged.
Yeah, but
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, but anything pertaining to us that we want, you have to know that it's going to be a fight. They're not giving us nothing. They never have. You have to fight for it.
so if someone says no with no reasoning behind it, people just turn around and go home?
I've seen it too many times.
Because you were down there.
I've seen it.
You were down there for the statue.
I've seen it, yes. And the statue still stands. You know, once they say no, people lose the energy. Why?
Like taking
You
the
don't
air out
have
of your
to,
basketball.
you don't have to accept no all the time. You know,
So
you
it goes
can
back
pick and
to-
choose your battles, but you don't always have to accept no as the final answer. We live here too and pay taxes too.
Right.
So,
That's a slippery slope. I remember I was working with someone and working with the kids. So word got to me was like, stay away from that person. I was asked to work with the kids. Why is he with her? What is I said, I'm not here to, if anybody wants to know anything, they can ask me. You know, nobody knows exactly where I come from. I'm from Waterbury, just as everybody else did. I went to Walsh, I went to Sprague, I went to North End, I went to Welby. I graduated and I left. I went to the Navy, came back. I'm here. I retired, you know, from the federal, and I'm here. You know, my family, they've contributed to this community just as everybody else's family has. So, you know, it just threw me off where they was like, well, tell Mark to stay away from her. I'm like, this is about the kids. If anyone calls me and asks me to help them with the kids, help them with some kids, I'm coming. That's all you got to do. Say, look, I need help with the kids. Same
well,
with-
it's funny that you say that because you know how many times or how often, or I should say how long, our people fall for that. Stay away from so-and-so.
Yeah.
And then so-and-so is ostracized.
Why?
Who told you that?
Yeah, right. I was always like,
And that's just okay with you?
right.
Do you know so-and-so?
No, they don't. You know, and you know, it's always been a mystery to me because, you know, I was heavy into the music and stuff like that. But I had half of my artists were from New Haven and half was from Waterbury. But we didn't stay here. We hit the highway.
Right.
Okay, we're going to New Hampshire, we're going to Massachusetts,
Right.
we're going to Rhode Island. So this wasn't that important. And they were kids. Most of them, I think, at that time, the oldest was 17. I had anybody from 12 on up, you know? So it was like, let me teach these kids how this works. So, you know, there was a couple of words. Oh, I don't like him. Oh, I don't like them. Oh, I don't. For what?
Yeah, but that's kids. I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about adults.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about grown folks
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it just always fascinated me. And then we got a few more minutes. We got to touch the Chris Rock and Will Smith situation. We got a couple of minutes left. Your thoughts?
Okay. I think it's a very unfortunate thing that happened. However, there's a bigger picture that I see. And I've seen a lot of comments, pro and con. No disrespect to anyone, but given the history, some of the history that's been made public, how many times or how long should you allow someone to disrespect you, your family, your mother, your wife, your kids? How many times before you say enough is enough? And, you know, it was an interesting point this morning on Facebook. You know, we have the story, everybody knows the story of Emmett Till.
Right.
You have a young black man who was tortured and murdered for just an accusation, false accusation,
Right.
of disrespecting a white woman. When do we start to command the respect for black women? When does that happen?
I hear you.
When does that, I need my kings.
I hear
When
you.
does that happen? We feel like, a lot of women feel like we're out here on our own. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. Who are we supposed to count on? We need our kings. And the other thing is, when it comes to the disrespect of black man slapping a black man, yes, it was a inopportune time. I mean, it was the height, the pinnacle of his career and so forth and so on. But when it comes to disrespecting or slapping another black man, we got folks that will, men, that will fight other men over a street corner that they don't own. But you don't want to fight for your woman, you don't want to fight for your kids. And then someone mentioned this morning about the fraternities. Part of being online, okay? You get a slap down. It's okay there, but it's not cool here. Come on, we got to do better.
Right.
We got to do better.
Sorry, Ms. Figueroa, I didn't get a chance to get your input. I have to wrap the show up. Your thoughts on it? You got a minute. Close it.
It was an unfortunate situation that I felt could have been handled differently. It was an embarrassment. I take it as that. He stood up for his wife, but for me, I feel that. Please.
Thank you. I'm not even going to add to this. I'm going to give this to you all. I'm not even going to, I'm good. Because, we've talked about it all week. And,
Yeah.
And I've talked about it with my Navy brothers and
The
everything. I'm good. I even made a couple phone calls. I'm not good. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I thank you for coming out today with me. And I got to have you back because you got more to say. They have no idea. And thank you again to my co-host, Miss Cynthia. I'll talk to you soon. And for the people, by the people, about the people, the Klock Hour. Thank you.